One man predicted the exact method terrorists would use to attack the Twin Towers 8 years before it happened, and his premonition saved 2,700 lives while costing him his own. This isn't about Nostradamus or psychics making vague predictions after the fact. This is about Rick Rescorla, a former British soldier and Vietnam War hero who became head of security for Morgan Stanley at the World Trade Center, and what he foresaw with crystal clarity would become the defining tragedy of our generation. Hit subscribe right now because this story will give you chills. After the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center, when terrorists detonated a truck bomb in the parking garage hoping to topple one tower into the other, Rick realized something terrifying. The towers had survived, but the attack revealed a fundamental truth. The World Trade Center was a massive target that terrorists would absolutely strike again. But Rick predicted something even more specific. He told his friend Dan Hill, a security expert, that the next attack wouldn't come from below. It would come from above. Terrorists would hijack a plane loaded with jet fuel and fly it directly into the towers. This was 1993. Commercial airline hijackings for suicide attacks were virtually unheard of. But Rick had studied terrorist tactics. He'd seen their determination during the first attack, and he knew they wouldn't stop until those towers came down. Stay with me, because what Rick did next separated him from every other person who sensed something was wrong. Rick didn't just predict the attack, he prepared for it. For 8 years, he implemented evacuation drills that his Morgan Stanley employees absolutely hated. Quarterly, sometimes monthly, he would sound alarms and force all 2,700 employees to evacuate down the stairwells from Tower 2. People complained. They said he was paranoid. They said he was wasting company time. Some refused to participate. But Rick was relentless. He'd learned in Vietnam that preparation and discipline saved lives. He wasn't about to let corporate comfort kill his people. He sang Cornish songs from his British childhood during the drills to keep morale up. He made it a game. He made it a routine. And by September 11, 2001, every single Morgan Stanley employee knew exactly how to evacuate that building with their eyes closed. And here's where Rick's prediction becomes absolutely haunting. The morning of September 11th, Rick was on the 44th floor of Tower 2 when the first plane hit Tower 1 at 8:46 a.m. The Port Authority immediately made an announcement. Everyone should stay at their desks. Tower 2 was secure. Do not evacuate. Rick ignored them. He'd been waiting for this moment for 8 years. He grabbed his bullhorn, his walkie-talkie, and started moving through the floors of Tower 2, ordering immediate evacuation. People protested, but the Port Authority said, Rick cut them off. The Port Authority doesn't work for Morgan Stanley. I do. Get out. Now. At 9:03 a.m., 17 minutes after the first plane hit, United Flight 175 slammed into Tower 2, exactly where Rick had predicted terrorists would strike. If you're already getting emotional, hit that like button, because Rick's final act of heroism will break your heart. By the time the second plane hit, Rick had already evacuated most of Morgan Stanley's 2,700 employees. They were in the stairwells, moving steadily downward, following the drills they had practiced for years. Rick moved between floors, singing his songs, keeping people calm, making sure no one panicked. His cell phone rang. It was his wife, Susan. She was crying. Rick's voice was calm, almost serene. Stop crying. I have to get these people out safely. If something should happen to me, I want you to know I've never been happier. You made my life. By 9:45 a.m., Rick had successfully evacuated virtually all 2,700 Morgan Stanley employees from Tower 2. Only 6 remained, stragglers, people who'd been in the bathrooms, people who'd hesitated. Rick refused to leave without them. A colleague heard him on the phone with his wife one final time. I have to go back up. There are still people up there. At 9:59 a.m., Tower 2 collapsed. Rick Rescorla was last seen on the 10th floor, heading upward, searching for stragglers. His body was never found. Comment below if you think Rick Rescorla is one of the greatest heroes in American history, because his story doesn't end there. Out of 2,700 Morgan Stanley employees, only 13 died that day, including Rick and his security team who stayed behind. Every other major company in the towers suffered catastrophic losses. Cantor Fitzgerald lost 658 employees. Marsh & McLennan lost 295. Morgan Stanley lost 13, because one man predicted the attack, prepared for it, and gave his life making sure everyone else got out. But Rick wasn't alone in sensing something was coming. The University of Edinburgh conducted research after 9/11 and discovered an unusual spike in reports of disturbing dreams and feelings of dread in the days before the attacks. Hundreds of people reported premonitions. Michael Hinkson, who worked on the 78th floor of Tower 1, noticed his guide dog Roselle acting strangely the night before. She was restless, anxious. He arrived at work earlier than usual, a decision that helped him escape. Bonnie McKenney's husband Eamon worked in Tower 2. For days before 9/11, he complained of vertigo and told her something terrible is going to happen. The morning of the attacks, he told her he felt awful. "I just am feeling so terrible," he said. Hours later, he was dead. So here's the question that haunts researchers. Can some people actually sense disasters before they happen? Dr. Larry Dossey, who studied premonitions, believes the unconscious mind can detect patterns that the conscious mind misses. Rick Rescorla wasn't psychic, he was analytical. He'd studied terrorism, understood tactics, recognized vulnerability. His prediction was strategic intelligence. But what about the others? The people who dreamed of planes hitting buildings, the spouses who felt inexplicable dread, the guide dog who sensed danger. Science doesn't have answers yet. What we do know is this: Rick Rescorla trusted his instincts, prepared for the worst, and saved 2,700 lives. If this story moved you, subscribe to this channel right now. We tell true stories of heroes, predictions, and moments that changed history. Rick Rescorla received the Presidential Citizens Medal posthumously. A statue was erected in his honor. Books were written about his life. But his greatest legacy isn't made of bronze or paper. It's the 2,700 people who went home to their families on September 11th because one man saw what was coming and refused to be unprepared. So the next time someone tells you they have a bad feeling, that something doesn't feel right, that we should prepare for the worst, remember Rick Rescorla. Sometimes the craziest sounding prediction is the one that saves lives. Drop a comment. Do you believe in premonitions? And would you have listened to Rick's warnings, or would you have thought he was paranoid? Our next video reveals the story of a woman who dreamed the Titanic would sink 3 weeks before it did. Her premonition saved her life, but haunted her forever. You won't want to miss it. Thank you for watching. Never ignore your instincts, and never forget the heroes who prepared for the unthinkable.